welcome to another exciting edition of Explore Richland. I'm your host, Mark Ingham. Well, today we have journeyed to one of my favorite summertime destinations, Columbia Point Marina Park. Now, it's obviously not the summer, so you're probably asking yourself, what the heck am I doing this close to the Columbia River in mid-January? And no, I'm not crazy. I'm actually out here freezing for a reason. And that reason is to help raise funds for a very worthy organization. Now, joining me today is Dan Irish. Dan is a Hanford security police officer, as well as a volunteer with the Special Olympics of Washington. Dan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
So, the folks at home have probably connected the dots and realized that we are here talking about the coolest event of the winter, the Tri-Cities annual Polar Plunge. Now, there are some big changes for the 2018 event, and what can you tell us about that?
We do have a lot of exciting new changes. The most notable one is the fact we've changed the location to the Columbia Point Park Marina in Richland. The reason that we changed it is we decided that we kind of needed a new start. Not necessarily that we needed something different from Kennewick, but over the years we've been declining in numbers and presence and donations, and we figured this was the time, since we lost some really good key players that were part of the organization that volunteered. They decided to move on to better things. So we decided, let's start new. Maybe Richland, maybe Kennewick, maybe Pasco, and local areas will decide, hey, this is revived again, and come back out and support the project.
Yeah, and Columbia Point Marina Park offers some really nice amenities, to the event. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have Anthony's right behind me, as well as Lulu's. They have some awesome patios, and they overlook the Columbia Park Marina. It's a beautiful location, and they also have great drink specials and food specials, as well as just the ambiance of the place around. We have new hotels. We have basically the water to wine cruises out here. It's just such a great atmosphere, and hopefully people will come out and see that.
Yeah, and that really adds to the entertainment value of those. Maybe they don't want to participate, but they just want to come watch and support a great event.
There is. We do offer that. We have a chicken coop, so if they don't want to jump in, they just come out and hang out and enjoy the festivities.
That's great. Yeah, and we'll talk more about that. But first, I want to ask you, it takes a certain type of person, a certain type of mentality to participate in an event like this. But can you describe the atmosphere at the Polar Plunge?
Well, the atmosphere, it's really fun. It's really high energy. I mean, you come out here and you've got the athletes that come out to sport. And if you were kind of like worried about jumping in, man, the attitude of those athletes, they really bring you right up. And you're like, all right, I can do this. I'm going to go out there. I'm doing it for them. And it's just a giant social gathering. You're meeting people that you maybe haven't seen for a long time, maybe haven't seen since high school. And you're just getting out and you're just having a great time for a really great cause.
Yeah, it is a party atmosphere. The energy's through the roof at this event. But not to get lost in all that excitement is, the important part of it, the fundraising piece. So how does Special Olympics use the money raised?
Well, Special Olympics, it's really great because when we raise money, it stays in our area. A lot of people don't think that. They think if we raise money here, it goes over to the west side and it stays on the west side for athletes over there. It actually stays here. So we have an operating budget and we work in the fines of that, and every single event we throw, we have to raise a certain amount of money to meet that operating budget. Now, if we exceed that budget, we get to keep all that money and it stays and goes right back to our athletes. So if we say, just take a number, $40,000 for this event, we raise that $40,000, that sends our kids to the USA games, the state games, the spring games, the fall games, the winter games, it pays for transportation, and that's just to our local athletes. That's the Tri-City athletes. This year we have 30 athletes going to USA games, and that's here in Seattle, Washington. So that's a really big deal. It costs a lot of money, and all the money that we raise at these events goes right to those kids to go to that event.
Wow, that's great, and that has me excited to sign up and help that cause. And I actually have participated in this event two times, and so I know how hard it is to actually get yourself to sign up. It's kind of scary to think, man, I'm going to jump into the water and I'm going to sign up to commit to do that. But it's worth it. And once you actually participate in the event, you know how fun it is. And with all that said, how do people sign up and how can they register for this event?
Well, you got to actually go to polarplungewashington.org. Again, that's polarplungewashington.org. And then it costs $10 to register. And then in the course of time, you're supposed to raise another $40, so a total of $50 for each plunger. That's to jump in the water. They want you to go out and maybe raise some funds. Now, the best part about this atmosphere is that you want to get your friends to say, I bet you're not going to jump in the water. And so maybe they'll pledge $10, and the next guy will pledge $10, and then they'll come out and they'll watch you jump in the water because they don't think you're going to do it. So it's kind of easy to get $50. We would like people to raise a little bit more than that, but to get in the water, it's $50. I know maybe it sounds a little high, but it's really not that high when you got a lot of buddies are saying, that's really cold, and I'd love to see you go jump in. And then we have a spot for them to sit and watch you jump in.
Yeah, definitely worthwhile, that's definitely sure. Well, local law enforcement officers have long been supporters of the Special Olympics, and why is supporting Special Olympics so important to you guys?
Well, to law enforcement, it's basically the one foundation that Special Olympics is the one foundation that we chose to support. There's over 97,000 police officers internationally that support, volunteer, and raise funds for Special Olympics. And I think there's I think about 1,000 local law enforcement in Washington State that support the Special Olympics cause. It's important to me because I love sports. I've always loved sports, and I've always had a competitive level, and sometimes my competitive level goes a little too high. And when I came out the first time and did something for Special Olympics, those athletes centered me back to what sports is really all about. I mean, coming out, the love of the game, the camaraderie, the competitive spirit, and I just found myself in love with the organization, saying, you know what, I really want to give back to that group because they're giving so much to these athletes.
Well said, Dan, and thank you so much for coming on the program today and talking about such a, a great organization and such an awesome event. And of course, if you would like more information on the 2018 Tri-Cities Polar Plunge, you can visit them at the website below. And of course, if you would like more information on anything City of Richland related, we strongly encourage you to visit our webpage, www.ci.richland.wa.us. And lastly, don't forget to interact with the City of Richland on our social media platforms. We are where you are. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And now I have to admit that the plan for the end of this program was for Dan and I to jump into the freezing Columbia River, but that sounded really good over email, but not so good now that I'm standing here today. So Dan, thank you so much for coming out and doing this for me. Oh my gosh! A polar bear! Out of nowhere! Woo! Oh, Dan, you're a braver man than me. Well, thanks for joining me in this edition of Explore Richland. I'm Mark Ingham. Man, crazy bears. Gotta look out for polar bears, I tell you.